Hi, this is Dimitri Bilgir, back again for the daily healing work facilitation tip. And today I want to talk about a really important distinction of working with grief that I feel like messes facilitators up fairly often. So I want to straighten that out for you so you don't have to have this problem. So I'm going to start by talking about a process I saw. A man needed to do a piece of healing work. He said, 2 months ago, I heard the car running in the garage, and I went into the garage, and I discovered that my son had committed suicide. He asphyxiated himself in the car. And he had grief work to do about this, right? He was terribly, terribly sad. And he should be, because it was a horrible thing. Now, in a lot of healing work, right? If there's work about where you're blessing a part of yourself, or you're setting a boundary with some sort of voice that is telling you you're not good enough or cursing you in some way, at the end of the process, the participant feels in a state of like, yeah, I did it. Like if they blew a voice out of the room that was telling them they weren't good enough, was holding them back, they're like, yeah, I'm powerful. Or if they loved a part of themselves that had felt like life had been really rough and unfair to them, they'd feel like, yeah, a new thing is possible. I feel good. Right? The difference is when you start looking at, John Wright's telling me that he's not getting sound. Is anybody else getting sound? If you can hear me, please let me know. Man, I hope you can hear me. Otherwise, I'll do all this again. So, what am I trying? Oh, so at the end of most processes, the participant feels really good, and everyone around them feels really good. That's not the shift that happens. Thank you, Colby. That's not the shift that happens in grief work. While in anger work or blessing work, we feel like we feel happy at the end. If we're working with grief, the shift that we have isn't, yay, now life's great, I feel happy. The shift is something different, and I want to talk to you about that. So here's the thing with grief. We have two different types of relationship with our grief. One is painful and one is less painful. When we work with people around grief, usually what they're working with is they're saying no to their grief. They're saying, this shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be like this. This person died or left me. This happened, and I simply can't accept it. And that's where they start in the process. They're starting with a no. This shouldn't have happened. This shouldn't be like this kind of thing. When we work with them in grief work, the place we want to get them to is a state of saying, yes, this did happen, and I'm sad about it. Because that is a fundamentally different experience for a person. And you may have experienced this yourself, because the thing with grief is, you need to honor grief. Like if you've been angry about something for a long time, or even sad about something for a long time, that's something that can be healed in a single session often, and you're just done with it. But with grief, there's something about we need to honor our experience of it. We need to give it time. So unlike every other process where we sort of go into it with the idea of we're going to fix this pain, we're not actually going into grief work to fix the pain. We're going into grief work to shift your relationship with the pain so that you can be at peace as you go through the grieving process. So, because like I'm kind of saying here, the suffering around grieving isn't, the suffering that really hurts around grieving is the way in which we say no to it. And if we get to that point of saying yes to it, yes, this is happening, yes, this is the way it is, yes, I am experiencing this, then the healing process is kind of, we grease the skids of that rather than putting up a block in that. Now, a lot of you who do this type of work know about a thing called the tombstone process, where we actually go and we talk to, we have somebody play the person who was lost, who died, or something like that. And with this guy, with his son who died, what we did is we did that process, right? I said to him, "Wow, your son killed himself 2 months ago. I would imagine you've been struggling with wanting to kill yourself too." He's like, every day it's a struggle to not follow him. So we did one of these processes where he ended up actually stepping into his best sense of his son's deepest heart, actually taking on the mantle of like, okay, I'm being my son now. What does his deepest heart want for me as I go through this experience of having lost him? and his son's deepest heart very congruently. You know, it's this interesting thing. When we lose someone, we can kind of step into their deepest heart for us. So he stepped in. He was like, Dad, it was my time to go. I know it seems wrong, but it was my time. And I want you to live. And I want your heart to heal. I want your heart to be even more deep and more open and more loving than it's ever been. I want you to love me and remember me, but I want you to go on living. And then he was able to receive that message as himself. And at the end of the process, I said to him, like, now you're sad about what you're actually sad about. Now you're no longer suffering because you're saying no to this, right? He's like, yeah, I mean, now I'm sad, but the quality of that sadness is completely different. It's totally changed. So I titled this, don't fall into the facilitation trap when working with grief. And the facilitation trap is trying to make them happy at the end. They're not here to be happy at the end. They need to be at peace with the process that they're going through, saying yes to it rather than no. And when you bring them to that, when you touch them into the heart of the lost loved one, that gives them a relief from having to struggle and suffer, then their grief process can simply unfold. So that's it for today. I encourage you to share this with anybody you want to share it with. If you have questions or comments, please let me know. And I'm doing this every weekday, so I'll be back about this time tomorrow. Talk to you then. Bye.